Siete noche. Hello, greeting, grand rising, love to all people. Happy
Indeed.
Sunday. Welcome to the I Am Empowered chat with Takia and Nancy. I am a kinetic specialist and the creator of the Kinetic Light Revolution, where we help heart center seekers and leaders to attune to their soulful emergence so that they can be free, live the life of their dreams in alignment with their essential nature.
So good.
Yes. So what do we do? What does that mean, right?
Yes.
So our internal environment, our internal landscape is a reflection of our external landscape. So when things
Mhm.
aren't going well out in our manifested physical lives, generally there's something happening internally that's out of balance, right? There
Right.
either is some stagnancy or some fervent energy that's been stored. There's something happening internally that isn't aligned with your highest version of yourself.
Mm.
And so then, outwardly we see the manifestation of that. And so sometimes that looks like weight on our bodies, right? Where we have emotional and or mental stress and or traumas or any kind of unexpressed energies trapped in our bodies. And we've developed habits and practices that don't support our greatest version and vision for our lives. And so all that's needed is for us to tap in and go deeper and let go of whatever is in our way, right? Whatever is denying us the access to our joy, to our freedom, to our authentic confidence, to our self-love, whatever that is. It's all healing is letting go. And so sometimes that weight is emotional,
Mhm.
and we find ourselves being reactive in our lives in ways that don't serve the ultimate intention of what we're trying to create, either good relationships or thriving business or whatever it is that you're looking to create is being interrupted by your
Mm.
reactivity and your ability to be responsive in a way that is you responding to stimuli in a way that really serves you, and allows you to be exactly who you are in all of your life. And a lot of times the entry point for the kind of healing that we need is through physicality, because it's tangible. We can
Right.
feel it, and we know it because we've been in this body our whole lives.
Right.
And so I like to make connections between the physical body and what's happening emotionally and mentally, so that we can align the three of them. And so we have a mental body, an emotional body, we have a spiritual body, and we have a physical body. And there are actually seven bodies, but there's subtleties, and one links to the next. And so if we focus on those primary four, we can usually align all. And so sometimes we just need a place to begin. And so sometimes that place to begin is really connecting ourselves back to our bodies and creating harmony within our physicality, which then also gives us access to the rest.
Mm.
And so that's what we do. That's what kinetic life is about. It's about having your emotions move, because emotions are meant to be felt 90 seconds and then they're done. And it's the thoughts that we keep thinking that keep coming back over and over. Waves of emotion keep coming because we think the same thoughts over and over again. And so and then we have these so that it really addresses both the mental and emotional. And then the spiritual body, we're on a path, all of us, on an evolutionary path as a human being. No matter whether you have a specific faith or you simply believe in energy, it's all the same. We're all talking about the same thing.
Mhm.
And so if we can just agree that we're beyond this body, we have more to us. And so there's a spiritual element to our lives that also needs to be aligned for us to be thriving, then that's all that's needed.
And we have to. It's essentially we have to make sure that we do agree with that there's more to us than meets the eye. Right.
Yes, of course, of course. And so tonight we're talking about listening. I've been talking about this. I've talked about it a couple times today, and I just keep taking it deeper and deeper, because I think it's listening is one of the most important things that we do. You know, being heard is something that could be transformative for someone. It could be the catalyst to a shift in someone's life that will take them on a completely different trajectory. It's also when we're denied that, it can also feel like the end of us. And we can feel alone. And so obviously that's not true.
No, but it's the truth that you might believe because it's how it feels, right? That's
Yeah.
cannot be heard is as if you're invisible, right? So that's the feeling of you don't matter, but not true.
Yeah. So it's such a gift to give. And so I wanted to dive, because I've talked about kind of so many aspects of this. I think the thing that we haven't really talked about, that we haven't really touched on, is what are the obstacles to our ability to listen? You know, what gets in our way? Because ultimately, no matter what thread you pull, like everything else in our lives, it always comes back to us, right? It always comes back to us, it being our responsibility to align ourselves in a way that allow the environment and the situation to flow in a way that is in line with our intention. So if we're looking to create more intimacy, then we need to show up in a way that contributes to intimacy. If we're not, then okay, it's there's no right or wrong. But if that's what you seek, if you seek the greatest, most creative, most harmonic world that we could create, then it takes a little bit of effort.
Yeah, it'd be a whole lot easier to say it's I like the thread when you pull the thread, it always comes back to us. That's visually I just kept picturing that. And it sure would be nice if we could just throw it back on someone else and be like, well, until they fix it, this is how it is. But really,
Or if we could just eat one stalk of broccoli and be healthy.
right. It's the same theory, right? It's like if this was like if I didn't really have to do any effort, if I didn't have to peel back any layers, and if I didn't have to look at some not so pretty things, face some very uncomfortable sometimes thoughts and feelings, yeah, it'd be a whole lot easier. But the only reason it's easier, it's not easier in the long run, though, is it? I mean, it's easier in the moment in our mind. It'd be easier if we could blame someone else for not listening to us or for not listening to ourselves, right? It's really what it comes down to. How are you?
Yeah. I think ultimately it always comes back to our relationship with ourselves, as it's foundational to every other relationship. And so our ability to listen to our bodies, our ability to listen to our body's reaction, and whether that's, you know, emotions that arise or physical signs of tension that arise, you know, when we're triggered, to be able to identify that there are shifts taking place in us so that we can then make a choice about how we want to respond, right? So, you know, this is empowerment. You know, this is what we're about, right? It's about giving us tools to be in alignment with our truth, which is powerful, right? So there
It's
are
the ultimate power for ourselves, honestly. It's knowing yourself and hearing an alarm go off and ignoring it, whether it be figuratively or literally, not a good plan. If
yeah,
like you said, listening to the triggers or responses in your body, how if all of a sudden you realize that you're short breath and when you go to take a deep breath, it's like a quivering breath. There's a message there, friend. And to ignore it, it's like hearing that smoke detector going off and just saying, I just got to put a pillow over that because we're not going to deal with that today.
right. I can't hear you. I don't see it.
Then there must not be a fire, so you're all right.
I can't see a fire.
That's good.
I don't hear the crackling.
Yeah, not nothing.
So I know that there are three things that I can think off the top of my mind, and that come to me over the course of the day that I know get in our way.
Let's hear it.
One of them is arrogance. And arrogance is connected deeply to the feeling that we're right. And so when we enter into, any kind of connection with the stance that we're right, then it's a hindrance, it's a block to the flow of what's possible in that conversation. And so, and in particular, I think we do this with children. I feel like we always approach them from a stance of, this is an opportunity for me to teach you something. So we don't respect their innate knowledge and or their ability to take what they've witnessed, which they're observant, far more observant than we consciously are. And they have this wisdom about them that we often negate. And so, being able to put yourself in a beginner's mind, a Zen mind, and just really approach that life with an openness and a willingness to learn from them too, and truly just have interest in them and hearing what they have to say versus just telling them things all the time. And that's with anyone though, right? Not just kids, but I know especially it happens with children.
That's the most easily relatable way to describe it. I think you're right, because I think, well, for me, listening to you just now, I totally understood that when they do something, when little ones do something, the first thing we want to do is like, oh, this is my opportunity to teach you, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And instead of saying, so what are you doing? What did you find? What does it feel like? And what do you think you do with it? Or, there are obviously times you teach. I mean, clearly, when something needs to be taught, like that is a danger. But just in general sense, when they're experiencing something, it's just to crawl into the moment of, what are you experiencing? What is that? What are you feeling? What's happening here? Instead of, I have to teach you something, and I immediately related to that.
Yeah, that's pretty special, isn't it? Like, to really go into a conversation believing that someone else has something to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fully believing
I
it,
think,
not just pretending, but really believing that somebody has something else to offer. You are not the only thing in the room. You are not the only one with anything to impart here, right?
Exactly. Yeah, honoring the wisdom in each other. Do you see the delay in my audio?
I did, but you were there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's one big one, I think. And another is this fear we have. We have this fear, I think, sometimes that gets in our way. And perhaps these are all, kind of facets of fear. But fear itself, in that, and especially related to risk. When we're thinking that we might be entering into a conversation where someone might have the opportunity to really see us, or really know us, or know that we don't know something, or see us in a way that maybe we're not ready to show, so we create these kind of blocks to our intimacy, to really being seen. And so there's an element of open-heartedness and courage that's necessary in order for communication to truly go both ways.
Yeah, there is that sense of courage that has to happen. And I don't like being told I have fear. You know what I mean? There's I think a lot of us who are, who want to say that we're confident, right? Or that we're self-assured, or that, we're experts, or whatever the thing is that you say about yourself, right? One of the things that just doesn't feel right to say is, I am afraid of, and then this thing, right? I have a fear. But, honestly, we all have fears of some sort. And I love the fact that you always bring it back to the same ones. It's like, if you peel it all back, it does come back to a fear. It's a fear of abandonment, or, some sort of a fear that's so real to you that you don't even know it's there anymore. It just, it dominates it jumps out in front all the time and starts to direct the ship.
Mhm.
But it takes that little bit of courage to say, okay, I see the fear, and you're not the boss right now. You're
Mhm.
not the boss right now, and to move on from that and move in whatever way you need to, right? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, have being visible and being vulnerable is, I mean, the word vulnerable says it all, right? It's risky in
it
some way.
is. It is. It absolutely is. And this is the nature of our relating, though. This is the nature. This is what we're kind of in a weird juxtaposition. Like, we crave in our depths of our soul to be seen and known and understood, yet we fear it
Right.
at the same time.
Yeah. And it's normal. It's normal. It's and a lot of us may sit back, maybe you listening, sit back and think, "Oh my gosh, everybody else is so brave and I'm not. I don't know why I'm always like this," but it just I just want to say that it's normal to have that fear. It's normal to if that push pull thing. It's like it's the thing you need the most, right? You've told me this more than once. Sometimes the thing that you fear the most is the thing you need to do the most,
Mhm.
because that's where on the other side of that is so much of everything else that's waiting for you.
Right.
And so
Everything.
we want to connect. We so want to be heard and felt and connected and be one with others. But on the same token, it's like, oh, but if they find out about me, whatever that is,
Right.
then it won't be good. I'll be kicked out of the tribe. It goes back to that feeling for me is what happens. And so then now you're back to this space again. Isn't it interesting how it's the
Yep.
thing that we want, but in order to get it, we have to see the fear and face it and go with it.
Face everything and rise.
Right. FEAR.
That's so true. And the last piece, that I just mentioned, I mean, there may be more, but just the thing that I think gets in our way is our assumptions. We sometimes, especially if we've been around someone many times, we assume that we know them. We assume that we know all facets of who they are, and we know, what they have to offer, and we don't open ourselves to the possibility that they have more to offer than we thought, or that they've grown beyond what we have in our imagination, or
Right.
that this time they'll show up in a different way than we've experienced them before.
Right. Right. That's a great one to hear. That is a great one. I've made enough assumptions in my life thinking, well, I've met them before. I've done this stuff before. They don't know anything about this particular thing. And not to realize that, have I ever been with them in that situation to be able to say that?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and how long ago was it that I was in their space, that we connected, that we had an exchange so that I could make that assumption? But it's interesting how that can become, um, the assumption can be an affirmed fact in our mind, in our own thoughts. So like it's a done deal. It goes into category B. Done.
Exactly. We limit our experience of them, and limit the kind of our receipt of their expression.
Hmm.
And it's just like, it's very similar to when we walk in nature and we label things, and we kind of limit their ability to be fully themselves and more. Because if there is a creator that created everything, then nothing is simply as it seems through our reflective eyes, you know, because even if we consider quantum physics, say, and we realize that the truth is that every time we look at something, it changes. Every time we look at ourselves, every blink, every time we look at ourselves and look away and look back, we change. And so we just consider that thought.
Mm.
and extend it to everyone. Give everyone the opportunity to be new when you greet them. The core of who they are, obviously, is going to stay the same. But we give each other the space to expand, transform, to grow, to change our minds,
To evolve,
to
right?
evolve. And, not hold such hard lines for people to walk, such rigid boundaries for people to have experiences with us in.
Because it ends up in the same situation of just, it goes back to my visual thought relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's you and what you think and your assumptions that you've made.
Mm-hmm.
And so will that other person have had their assumptions and their thoughts.
Right.
And it's going to take both people to say, I want to explore more, right? But if only one does, sometimes that's the door that needs to open. That's the invitation to say, we're in a safe place, and let's understand each other more. And it's when that type of thing happens, two people realize what they didn't know about each other and how much they were missing by not connecting. Sometimes it doesn't mean that you become best friends, right? I mean, we're not talking about that. We're not saying that, oh, because you did this, that it's a perfect fit for all kinds of goodness. I mean, sometimes it's like a reaffirmation of like, it's just still not the right time for me to get any closer. But boy, I don't know how many times, listening to you, I'm wishing I had documented a few times that how many times I would say I'm pleasantly surprised. I had no idea that they had done this, been here, experienced that. What an interesting facet to this person. And it fit to something that, for me, or I was able to connect it with someone else and say,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this about what you're doing or what you were seeking.
Yeah.
Let me connect you with somebody that can help you in your journey, or you can help them in theirs. And yeah, but it's all because I initially thought, well, no, they're only about this one thing. They're a coach for whatever, business coach, and realizing, oh my gosh, like you have something else going that's amazing, that, oh my gosh, people would love to know about this.
What if we really approached each human being as if they were a miracle?
Because we are.
What if we truly approached every human being as if they had a gift meant for the world? What if we approached every human being like they had God inside them? Whoa. I mean, I'm just saying.
Because we do.
One or all of those things might be true.
Yes. And I know sometimes it's maybe you're listening and thinking, all right, it's gonna happen to my day. Because there are those days where you feel like it's just not there. But what if?
Yeah. What if?
What if you were able to just pause? Because we know you're able to, but what if you did just pause?
Well, you know where it starts is you being able to see those things in yourself.
Right.
To know that you're a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
To know that you have a gift to offer the world. And to know
I love this.
that there is no end to your expansion. To know that there is God inside you is it's a vulnerable thing, and it's a powerful thing. And sometimes they're the one and the same. Owning your power can be very vulnerable, because you can only be powerful when you are exactly who you are. When you are pretending to be something else or trying to be something different, it's when your power is drained.
You're only at your peak of powerfulness being who you are.
That's it.
That's like that. This whole session here, that's it. In a blaze of aura glory. It really is. It's like, it's what if you can allow yourself to even imagine, if you can allow yourself to accept the fact, oh my gosh, right? That whole thing. You are all of those things. You
Yeah.
are that being who's limitless. Oh, you've just filled me with goosebumps, Takia, as per usual.
Wow. We are gifts, and one of the greatest gifts, which we've talked about many times here, is our presence. That is the greatest gift we can give. And so being heard is a doorway often, and it's a prerequisite to many people
Mm,
being willing to talk more, being willing to listen to you, being willing to change, being willing to consider a different perspective. First, they need to be heard, especially if they're in a very emotional state, especially if they're experiencing pain at that point, right? And so willingness is the foundation of transformation, right? We talk about the 7 principles of living lifted, of living a kinetic life, and one of them is willingness, and cultivating authentic confidence allows us to not seek outside of ourselves some kind of evidence, some concrete evidence of our innate worthiness, right? And so it's our obligation to ourselves, if we truly wish to live our best life, to do this, to cultivate abiding self-love, to cultivate authentic confidence, to align ourselves in a way that we are of the greatest service to ourselves and the world. And so we create a space for this, because this is what freedom is. It's being exactly who you are, in alignment with your highest calling on your life, with your light inside, and living it every day. Trusting the words that come to your mouth, because you know that your mouth is a mouthpiece for your heart, and your heart is aligned with all of your expanded self, your big S self. And so we know that the murmurs and the whispers that get spoken there are coming out through you, that you're a vessel, and so we know this, right? We know that you are more than your body. We know that your mind is in every cell of your body. And we know that your intelligence is that of that which creates all worlds. All worlds. Like, come on.
right?
Come on, man. Like, come on. So I've been having a lot of fun with just like, allowing all facets of self to just be on and open, and allow them to be summoned in the situations that they need be. And as some people think that like they might see you in one setting and then think you're a different person because they've seen a different facet of your personality. But I think what's important is that you just allow whatever to be summoned in that moment, which is most necessary in that moment. Right? That's the nature of our ebb and flow, of our responsiveness to life, when we allow ourselves to just be. And that means that the part of us that is most responsive in that moment is the part that's perfect to respond. And so that might mean that I bust out in a rap that's, and that might be me busting out in a song or a dance, and being completely congruent with the fact that I've coached CEOs.
Right.
Right. That I've worked with professional athletes like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so
they're not two separate things. They're not a wall between the two.
No.
It's one whole self.
Yes.
Doing all the things that you were like, just bursting. Yeah. I feel like what I see is this burst from here, just bursts out. And as it bursts out, there's so many pieces.
That's what I want to do half the day. Like, just make noises like that, because it's so fun to be alive. Sometimes I wake, when I wake up, one, I'm just reminding myself every day, just be grateful for the sun coming up. What a miracle. And how every opportunity to meet a new person, every time we have a conversation, is an opportunity for a new sun to come up, right? It's an opportunity for us to see another miracle, and remind ourselves of our greatness, And so by seeking the greatness in others, seeking and allowing how people show up to not define them, but just to be how they're being, right? In that
Right.
moment. Because we know the truth of us is far more than the physical self. It's far more than even the behavior that we're exhibiting. Now, this is where we run into some issues. So I'm not saying we just accept everyone's behavior and don't say anything about it, because
No, right.
all right. However, we have to start from a place of non-judgment
Right.
in order to get to a place of common ground. So if we're already deciding, and when we enter in a conversation, that we're right, they're wrong, and there's only one way to look at it, then we can never come
It's
together
completely
in a
limited.
solution-oriented way and come up with something that serves the greatest good.
Right. I think, I guess if there was one piece that we could say that sums this up is to allow yourself to be limitless. Allow your experiences to be limitless, to not have the box of a label of expectation, of assumption, of judgment of any sort, and just be open to just allow all that can be of this. Allow yourself to see a person in a different light, and just like you said, doesn't mean it's going to make them my best friend, or that I'm going to say, oh, their horrible behavior is absolutely acceptable. It's like, no, just allow.
Yes, allow. And so very simply, that just requires us to prepare ourselves, because sometimes the energy of the day or the energy of the conversation we just left can trail on us, right? And so just preparing ourselves, even just taking a moment to breathe, and rebalance, reset your set point, recenter, and I say self-centered is the best place that you could ever come from. Where else would you come? Coming from your side self, then you're probably going to be a little skewed when you enter the conversation. Come
Yeah,
from
it
your
has
center
to
when you
start
engage with
here.
me. Come from your center when you engage with me. I will welcome it. Be self-centered. That is different than having self-interest only and being selfish, a little bit like
Right.
yourself, right?
Often confused and not the same.
And being self-focused, that's different. Self-centered is when you are in balance, right? And so this is what we do so that we can be our highest self and give each other space to do the same. So we've said a lot of things, Nancy Burchill.
I love it. I think it's beautiful, and it always. Hopefully, you on the other side here, you listening in, are thinking some things for yourself, that you're entertaining the possibilities of all of this, and that's what we're here for. That's what Takia and I do. And Takia, as always, I love listening to your perspective. It allows me to. It opens up my mind. It really does, and it allows me to appreciate. Appreciate myself. There's been so long in my life that I didn't appreciate myself, that this whole feeling of appreciating myself and the God in me has made such an exciting change for me. It has given me such a lighter feeling, which is what I'm all about anyways. And it's like you said, it is a freedom. And so I encourage you to go ahead and reach out to us. Go ahead and join us over at the Kinetic Life Revolution, the tribe. We don't have it up there, but you can see the little emblem up there, like there.
Yes.
That's us. We invite you. We'll drop the link down into the chat as well afterwards, so that you know where to come and meet us and get to know us. And there you go. That's what we're called. So I just know that you are amazingly made. I love saying this because it reaffirms it in my mind. It's just one of those things I say often to myself, not just here, but you are amazingly made. There is no one on this earth, in the universe, designed to be you except you. And with that in mind, that means no one can tell you what that is. And I'm giddy with that idea, because no one can define who I am, who you are, except you. So have fun with it. Go crazy with it. Embrace it. Celebrate it. Enjoy it.
And I would just like to say that you are more than enough. You are absolutely necessary to the unfoldment of the cosmos. The world awaits your gifts. And there is only love. You're never alone. And we would welcome your energy to be with us as we continue to help people along this journey to navigate and come more into their personal freedom. We'll put the link to our group in the chat and check us out. I offer free consultations both for kinetic training, which really allows you to come into a greater connection with your body and to repattern the patterns that have disallowed fluid movement, that have caused back pain and joint pain. And so if you'd like a consultation, I'm happy to meet with you. And you just let me know if you would like that to be a kinetic movement session or simply an expansion of your freedom as a human operating, navigating all of life. You want to come more into alignment with yourself and have greater access to your joy and have more fun.
Yeah.
Yes, then join us. Peace and love. We'll see you same bat time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time on Sundays. This is where we are. Join us, ask questions, post topics. We're glad to dive deeply into anything that you have for us at any time. So we'd love to hear from you. Peace and love.